Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to create this amazing e-commerce website using Reactjs and Node.js. So this will be our front-end part, and we will also going to have a backend part from which we're gonna fetch the product. As you see, the categories, the products, all the available things, all the materials we're gonna fetch from our API from the backend. So in this project, we're gonna have two particular projects, one for the front-end or the client side, another for the backend in the admin side. So all the single products, also these details is appearing from the backend part. So let's just see how our functionality is happening, then we'll just start building. So this will be our search bar. As you see, you can search product from here, you can add product to cart, you can also add that to any of that same functionality which we're gonna have in the below. You're gonna grab this all together. As you see, you can add more products, you can delete products. So all the functionality is just perfectly aligned with that. If you click on the category section, it will take to that particular category. You can just toggle through the categories, and also from here you can initialize your purchasing. Now let's roll back to home page, and from that home page we have some more sections here. And also if you click in the shop, it will align with all the collection here, all the products, it will be available. Let's roll back to the home. You can view to your favorite section, you can add to cart from here. As you see, there's just perfectly cart functionality is appearing here, and you can delete your product from favorite. Now let's roll back to our cart. So this much a product we have here, but still we cannot be able to create this checkout as we are not logged in. And to login authentication, we are using that Firebase authentication, and also storing our data here, we are using that Firestore database, and storage, we are using that Firebase storage. And for the payments, we are using that Stripe payment. So let's go and create one successful payment. So this will be the last checkout, 1500. We will use one particular user from here. So let's just try with that user, and we will create that all functionality by which we can create the user. So I'm gonna put that my email, and also I'm gonna access my password. Let's sign in. And after signing in, we will be able to see the welcome messages. So that will be our dashboard. There is a lot of other parameter which we can entertain later. So let's roll back to our cart. We can also go from here. So now in the cart, let's just click on checkout. And by the way, you may remember my project is not running from the local host, as the frontend also and backend also. Both projects are on live, and I deployed it in Vercel. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the video which I'm making. I'm gonna create those projects, then we are going to successfully deploy with all the credential, with all the ENB credential, and we're gonna make it live. So you can, like, all those actions is happening in real time, not in localhost. So let's just create in checkout. So it will redirect me to the checkout instance page for the Stripe payment. Okay, now it's already previously my cart is saved, so I can just go through it. As you see, 1940, that will be my payable amount, and that's the 7 items is available here with the quantity, with the price. Let's just pay, and after paying, there will be several things going to be happen. My cart will be empty, the product it will save in my Firebase, and then we'll get into the order list. So as you may remember, my cart is empty, nothing is appearing here. Let's view orders, and we'll be able to see the number 3. As you see, order item 7, payment status paid by Stripe 1940. And if we roll back to our Firestore database, and we can just go through that particularly that user, because that database is designed so that we can just click the user and we can get what the orders that user have been done. As you see, that's the user. So now we can grab his orders. Order items 1, that's the last one which have been created. So let's roll back here, and as you see, okay, all the single things is just appeared here. So that's the order items, and we can just go with 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. That's the 7 items. So this is a very unique. It's just like fully functional e-commerce website. So like this kind of e-commerce website, it can be highly maintainable and you can utilize that one. You can add more functionality to go on, and I'm going to show you how easily you can cope up with all those scenarios. So to start with the project, we're gonna use that vid to create our front-end part, and we will use the Tailwind CSS to style it, and we'll use that simple Node.js functionality to create our backend part. And to initialize the project, thus I took my one of the empty directory, and here I'm gonna open my terminal. Now you need to keep in mind that the project, it will be two separate project, right? So I need to make two directory here. One should be for client and one should be for admin. In the admin, it will align all the other prospect. In the client, it will align for the other perspective. So if I put ls, as you see, admin client is available, I'm gonna just open it within my code editor. You may also do that one by just going directly in your directory, and from here you can just also open it from that code. Okay, so now from here I'm gonna take 2-3 terminal because I'm gonna run both projects from here. So that will be my initial part. That's the client, that's the admin. So let's just roll into cd client, cd, it should be client. So first I'm gonna create the client side project, then we'll go with the admin proportion. And for the client, as I said, we're gonna use that vid. So I will go with that pnpm. Either you can go with npm yarn, but I love to go with the pnpm. Just it will change the command line, other parameter it will be same. So I will put that pnpm create vid, and I will configure that within this directory, which is the client directory. Okay, so I will choose from here React and also the TypeScript. Okay, so now I need to run that pnpm install, then it will install all the dependencies requiring which will run my application. Okay, everything is installed. Now I run that pnpm dev to initialize that application in localhost 5173. So that's the first time I'm running my localhost. Remember, I used to run my application directly in my server or in my domain. So that's the localhost, that's the default parameter which I have. So right now we need to go through several setup. First thing first is that let's open my client side directory, and here we have just a simple setup of vid project. So what I'm gonna do is that in that app.tsx, I'm gonna make it bigger so you will be able to see it properly, and also I'm gonna make it smaller so both section can come aligned together and you can see whatever happening in real time. So now from here you see that empty braces, I'm gonna remove that one, and I'm gonna take a main tag here, and within that main tag I'm gonna take a p tag which going to be say e-commerce demo. Okay, so now as you see e-commerce demo is available, and I'm gonna remove all other parameter which is not necessarily required, and done. So now this is a clean project, and there is something pending, is that this app.css, I'm not requiring that, as we are going to use that Tailwind CSS by which we're gonna directly inject that index.css. So I'm gonna click all, choose all, and remove. So now that's a brand new project we have, nothing here, it's just our simple project. So in the Tailwind CSS, let's click on get started, and from here we'll choose that framework guides, and from here we will go with that vid. You can say vid white, whatever pronunciation you are dealing is okay. So as I'm using the pnpm, I'll just copy that much, and I will go to my another directory here, another terminal here. Remember, whenever you are switching the terminal, be careful just to put ls or dir just to see which directory you are in. Let's go cd into client, and here I'm gonna make that pnpm and install. So this command will install that Tailwind CSS in the dev dependencies also, and after dealing with that, I need this command which is going through that npx, giving that read write permission to my project, which will just create a simple tailwinds config.js file or ts file for my project. Okay, I think yeah, it's just a js file. So now a little bit more configuration is that in that content we will just replace those codes here. Okay, done. And one more setup is that index.css file, let's just open here and I'm gonna replace it that. So that's the overall setup. And now I'm gonna close my terminal, and again I'm gonna run that pnpm dev to rewrite, just reload again. It's not like Next.js is taking it pretty configurably, but sometimes it also very fast, but it's its own way, so don't worry about it. You can also just deal with Next.js and run this project in Next.js project. And if you want me to do it, let me know in the comments below. And again, if you're enjoying building it, please like this video and subscribe the channel. It's very hurtful that 70% of the users which is viewing right now are not subscribed. Please do subscribe, which will help me to create and build those kind of projects more and often for you. Okay, so let's roll back here. So now it's in our app.tsx. So just let's start to make things pouring up. So I'm gonna go in my source, I'm gonna take one folder which it will be UI folder, and here I'm gonna take one file which will be my header.tsx. let's put just rafce. First we're gonna create header and footer, then we're gonna inject all the pages. We're gonna just create a simple setup by which it will be pretty much faster. Okay, so now in the app.tsx I'm gonna just make that header here. Header, as you see, header is popping up. So in that header also I'm gonna go to do another portion is that which it will be footer.tsx, rafce, and the footer it will be below that properties footer. Okay, then one more properties would be nice to just to go and follow through with that, which will be the container, which will give us a setup. So let's go in that and we'll create that container.tsx, rafce. So that will be the container by which we will wrap each and every single properties. Let's go in the app, and as this much it will not be within that parameter, I'm gonna just put that container here, and within the container I'm gonna wrap that our e-commerce demo. So let's roll back in the container. There will be just a simple properties which will be children, and that children also you're gonna get that class name which can be provided by default, and we're gonna write that a props properties to define the types for it. So that properties it will be interface props, and now it will be children should be react node. Okay, and for that class name, now sometimes we will provide the class name, sometimes not, so it will be just an optional properties. Okay, so now what we are missing, let's just, I believe the name was not that much properly. Oops, it will be class name. Okay, so now over here we will just pass that our children to use that properties, and now we will use one more properties is that which going to be tw merge by merging the Tailwind CSS. So let's just pnpm I, it will be Tailwind and then merge. So what it gonna do, it gonna just it will not make cross contamination, so it will define my class names with the new class name, then we can just wrap it up. So just let's see how we're gonna do that. Now whatever the class name I'm providing here, I'm gonna put it a new class name, so it will be class name, and that new class name it will be tw merge, and here first I'm gonna give our define a class name which going to be max width, screen axle, mx auto, to just keep that things in the middle, and padding y it would be 10, and padding x it will be 4, and in larger screen padding x going to be 0. And after passing those parameters, but it gonna define our class name first, then it gonna give that other parameter. So let's just roll back in the class name, and it going to provide the new class name. Okay, so as you see that things is looking perfect. So now if we just give a background bg red of 300, as you see it will be in the middle. But now what is going to be happen if I provide the class name from here? If I put a class name, just put that blue of 400. Okay, you need to provide BG. Okay, see, it's it's just making the priority. The prioritize the first one. The one I'm providing from here, it will get the priority, but the default one, it will get the less priority. So like I'm gonna just make that priority 1 setting, just importing, keep important whichever I am providing right now. Okay, let's roll back to header. We need to create the other properties. I'm gonna just close that. So in the header, what we have actually, so this header, we're having one image, the logo, we have one search bar, we have icon, then we have the image logo. Just first I'm gonna just make it log out. Okay, just a glitch here. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, that's done. So first I'm gonna just go without the login so we can see the properties properly. So now what I'm gonna do to gonna style and create that one. So let's go head back to our header file and we're gonna create those properties. So now first we're gonna create one div within a div, and now we're gonna go with to extract that. So put a class name with it will gonna be full, and BJ it will be, now we need to define some of the background so by which we can use that one. So let's roll back to our tailwind config.js file, and here what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna define that our flex properties, which going to create a flex properties of okay, in the extent it going to go. So this is the flex we're gonna use whenever we are going to inject our that property our parameter of that styling. And also I'm gonna define some of the colors. So that will be the colors for our project: white text, dark text, light text, green text, red text, and sky text. So that's the properties is defining. And for the plugin, I'm gonna use a 2 plugin here. So that would be these 2 plugin, which going to be Tailwind CSS typography, and I'm gonna get that PNPMI, and another it will be Tailwind CSS aspect ratio. And don't worry, I'm gonna explain you when and where I'm gonna inject that. So don't worry, everything I'm using here, it will be workable later on. So just keep patient and you're gonna find out where and how we are going to use it. Okay, because that I think the application is break. So what I'm gonna do, just close the application, and again pnpm dev, I'm gonna just rewrite just start it again. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's spinning. Okay, cool, it's done. So now let's roll back to header again. Now we can provide our background color, the one we are preferring. So let's just keep, it will be BJ white text, means the white background, and we're gonna just yeah, that much. So now we'll get another div, and within that div we're gonna first go and grab the image properties. So in the image we're gonna have our image, and that's the image should be our logo. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab that asset properties here. So that's our asset for this project. I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna grab my asset properties here. And don't worry, all the properties, it will be available in the GitHub repo, which it will be linked in the description below. You can go through it, you can just grab each and everything. You see this, all the images is available here, which I'm gonna use. And I just create one index.ts file from which I'm just importing all the images, sorry, exporting all the images from a single variable, from a single file, by which I can just easily grab those errors. So now here I'm gonna use that logo. As you see, it just imported from the asset, and it will be that for logo. If I click save, you see the super gear is already available, and put a class name with going to be 44 just to make it a little bit good. Now in this parameter, put a class name which going to be max with screen axle, and mx should be auto. Oops, it will be mx auto, just to keep in the middle. And height, I'm gonna give it 20, keep a flex, item center, justify between, just a normal procedure of header we used to create it. Px going to be 4 and LG screen px should be 0. Okay, cool. So now that's the one parameter which we created. There will be another parameter by which we're gonna create those other things. So what we need to create is that to create a search bar right now. So that's the div. Within this div it's gonna happen. So here it will going to be search bar, and then it going to be the it will be the menu bar, just to make it clear. And this is for our logo. So here we're gonna create the search bar. So how the search bar going to inject it? So we're gonna grab a div here, and in that div we're gonna put an input tag. So within that input tag, okay, click on save. We should be able to see something, but okay, nothing is appearing. Okay, let's just let's just try again. So now in that div, let's just grab off that class name. By default it's going to be hidden. MD, it should be inline flex, but right now I'm gonna just it could be inline flex. And also I'm gonna make that max width of 3 axle, and then width going to be full relative. Okay, and let's just put a bg of rate just to see where that things is appearing. Okay, it's not appearing, it's nowhere. Okay, yeah, it's here. As the small devices it will not be appearing, so it just be gone. So we'll just keep in the big screen. Okay, so now I'm gonna remove the background. So first what we are going to deal with that search area. So that one, it will be a placeholder which is going to be says as search products. Okay, search products, yeah, as you see that is here. Okay, I'm gonna make it a smaller case. Now let's just put some class name here, which going to be width, will give a full width, and flex we're gonna provide a flex 1, which gonna grab all the properties, and rounded should be make it full, rounded should be rounded full, and text should be gray of 900, and text would be LG, means the larger text will appear, and placeholder text would be base, and placeholder text not the text should be tracking, should be white, and also shadow should be a small shadow. Let's just see. You see, it's working. Okay, now we need to make some more properties. We will make it ring as 1, just to roll up with the ring properties, and ring should be inset within inner properties, and ring should be gray of 300. Okay, now you can see that's the ring properties. When I just go over, you see how it's appearing. Now let's just pour some of more class name here, and that could be okay, ring gray, and placeholder text should be gray of 400. Okay, fine, and placeholder font should be normal, no fancy thing. Okay, cool. And focus, whenever I'm gonna focus, okay, it should be focus. Whenever I'm gonna focus, the ring should be, I'm gonna provide a 2, or yeah, 2 I think. Focus, or by default is inset, so it will be inset always. And whenever I'm gonna focus, the ring should be dark text, and SM text should be small text, and okay, padding X should be 4. Okay, now as you see. Okay, now what we are missing is that one more properties, which should be a padding Y. So padding Y should be 2. Okay, cool. I believe ring should be 1 is good, because 2 is making more ratio. Okay, yeah, that's nice. We can also just add 2-3 dots here. Okay, that's cool. Now we should be create another one where or before creating another one, we need to also keep one more the icon, which going to be our icons, and that icon should be for the search icon. As you may remember, that's the icon should be appearing here. And for the icons, we will install that our one more package, which will be React icons. So pnpmi, it would be React icons. Okay, so that from here we're gonna grab those icons. So first we will use, I think, 2 icons. As you may remember, if I search something, you see that is appearing. So these 2 icons should be appearing here. So just scroll back here. Okay, this would be coming from here. First it's going to be search outline, which we're gonna use just here. So after that input, I'm gonna use that icon, and that icon also going to be class name. Okay, it would be absolute, and then from top it will be 2.5, and also right should be 4, and then text going to be Excel. Okay, let's just see if it's appearing or not. Okay, that's appearing, but it's missing something, so that's the div. Maybe absolute, yeah, it should appear. Okay, it's appear, but it's missing that properties, which is not aligning with that. And okay, not ring. Yeah, should be right. Yes, not the ring properties, as you see. Okay, now we can do one more thing. We can just create a state here, over here, put which is going to be a search text, and set search text, and by default I'm gonna just make that use state, which is going to be empty. Now what is gonna happen whenever we're gonna create a search state, it will be just like the icon should be different. So just copy that, and whenever the search text going to be appear, then it going to provide something, otherwise it going to be provide something. And now what I'm gonna do, if it's not the search text, like if search text is available, then we're gonna just create that IO search, and we're gonna make that set search text. Is it missing all the properties? Set SEAR, or should be SEAR, yeah, search text. Okay, done. So if the search text is available, it will be create like that. If it's not available, then it will just go with a similar fashion, and whenever we click on that search, it will just go with that, make it empty. So now just create an on change event here to just go with that. I'm gonna just keep it as simple as possible for right now. Later on we're gonna create all the other parameter, so it will be e.target.value. okay, and the value should be search text. Okay, so now let's just try in real time, typing something. Okay, done. Typing something. Okay, done. So cool. Okay, done. Now one more parameter is that to create our menu bar, and how we can go with that. To eradicate the menu bar, we will just go in a simple way. You can see there is the icon for user, icon for our favorite, and icon for our cart. So these are 3 things going to be aligned together. So first let's just go and create that. So I'm gonna just get a div here, and within that div properties I'm gonna get that file user right now, as it will be just go with a simple fashion, no fancy user right now available, so we'll just keep it simple. Okay, and we're gonna make that hover text. Okay, it should be with the class name, and yeah, should be with the class name. Hover text should be sky text, and let's just grab it. Duration should be 200 for that, and object. Okay, right now nothing else. Okay, you see that properties is available, means it's working. And from here we're gonna grab some properties, give a class name. We're gonna make flex. Item should be center, gap in x-axis going to be 6, and text going to be 2 pixel, because all the icons should be same parameter, as you see, text 2 pixel. Okay, cool. And now I'm not gonna give a cursor pointer because we're gonna wrap it with the link, then we can do it later on. Okay, so now or we can do that link parameter, but right now I'm gonna just create those parameters, just those users, and here I'm gonna take a div here. Within that div I'm gonna grab that 5 star, okay, that star icon, which going to be give that, yeah, that's cool. So now later on we're gonna merge that with the link parameter, put a class name, I'm gonna make it as relative, and I'm gonna make it as also block. So that's the star, and that same properties I'm gonna popping through up. So also you can make that cursor pointer, not a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna copy that, and here I'm gonna paste that. So I have the 5 user. So now I'm gonna take one span tag, and I'm gonna keep it 0 as well here. So that will be inline flex. Okay, inline flex, item center, justify center, just keep everything in the middle as you see. Okay, that's cool, not a big deal. So bg should be red text, and text should be white text, and I'm gonna make it an absolute. From the top I'm gonna keep it 1. Let's see. Okay, not looks good. Let's keep -1 here, and I'm gonna make it some more properties here, which going to be -right should be, I'm gonna give it as 2 parameter of the right, and text I'm gonna give it a 9 pixel. Let's just make that rounded full, and also width it will be full, height should be full, let's say. Okay, that's the properties for that. And now I'm gonna just copy these properties, and I'm gonna replace with my shopping bag. So it will be shopping bag. Okay, so now if I go in the small devices, as you see, that scrolling back is working smoothly. Okay, nice, cool. So now that's our header. So now we will just quickly roll back to our footer just to create those instances, and after that we will create all other filler properties. Or before creating that, we can directly go to create this one also, which going to be our footer. Not footer, the below header. So let's roll back here. So that's the div we are talking about for the first parameter. Let's go in the second parameter. We just take a div here, and then we're gonna make our container to wrap it here, because we're gonna get other properties here. Okay, so now let's just go with that. First I'm gonna keep a p tag, which is going to be select category for right now, just to keep it as simple. As you see, select category is available, and now we can roll back to other parameter. So that will be 1, and then we're gonna create one, we're gonna just grab one array here, which going to give us that bottom navigation parameter. Okay, so we'll just roll back in the top and the top layer. So now here is the bottom navigation, the title, which is going to be give us home, and the shop, which is going to be take us to the product, cart, and other parameters. So let's just go here and just style and create those properties. It will be just simple as well. So first thing first, before going to that, let's just roll back in that particular top layer div, put a class name here, width going to be full, and bj should be dark text, and text by default I think the text is white text. No, the text should be white text. Okay, so now there we need to be just keep it simple. See the category that is coming from the backend. Okay, so if we just, okay, I think it's a caching issue. Okay, just hold a second, sometimes it's giving me that trouble. Okay, see the category is all are going to be fetched from the backend, so we need to start working on it. So right now I'm just gonna create it in a very simple way. So that will be my category, and also I'm gonna just grab one that chevron icon here. So it will be that far down. Okay, so this both parameter, or I'm gonna keep it here. Okay, that's it. I think it can see, can visible. Yeah, it's visible. And also I'm gonna make that flex item center. I'm gonna give a gap of 1. Okay, so now in that container we can go and keep all the alignment. So let's put a class name, padding y should be 2. Okay, because by default is 10, that's why it's getting the 10 parameter, and max width should be 4 axle, not that screen axle, and flex item center gap should be 5, and then justify between. Okay, so now let's roll back to the other parameter which going to get us that bottom navigation. So let's from here we're gonna prefer that other parameters which should be bottom navigation dot map, and we know there is the title and there is a link, so that 2 parameters we can access and use. So directly we're gonna return without injecting anything. So right now again I'm gonna just take a deep properties. Don't worry, later on we're gonna define with other properties here. I'm gonna just later on define with the link. So the key should be the title, and other properties should just keep align, and I'm gonna just take a p tag by which I'm gonna give this the title. Okay, or I can just take the p tag here, yeah, directly the p tag, so no need to keep any extra fancy. Okay, I need to wrap it for sure. What I did, okay, yeah. So okay, this thing should be removed. Okay, so now as you see I can see my all the properties here. Now what I'm gonna do is that for right now I'm not gonna take the link. So let's just go and grab some class name here, put the class name which going to be uppercase, all the things going to be uppercase, and by default it will hidden, md it will be inline flex, and then text should be small text, and font should be semi bold, and text it will be white text with 90% of opacity, and hover text directly it will be white text. And after that also I'm gonna make a duration of 200, and I'm gonna make it relative because there will be absolute something running, and overflow should be hidden, and then I'm gonna make it as group. Now why I did that, in that after the title I'm gonna take a self-closing span tag, and here I'm gonna put it class name inline flex, and then width should be full and height should be 1 pixel. Okay, so you'll be able to see one line here. Let's just go with that, and bj should be white text. Okay, cool. Okay, my account, what's wrong with that? Did we miss something? Okay, what we missed that it's just giving that. Okay, it's the same. Okay, it's the same parameter, and here is working properly. Let's just see. So what's wrong here? Okay, so what we are going to do, okay, we are going to measure that error later. First we're gonna finish that, and now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna make it an absolute, and also we're gonna make it from bottom should be 0, left should be 0. Okay, it's just for that properties here, nothing fancy. Okay, now let's just make a transform, should be transform, and then I'm gonna make it translate x should be, let's just make it 105%, so it's going to appear. You cannot see it because overflow is hidden. If I just remove that, you can see it just appearing here. Okay, so let's just make it overflow hidden again. So now what I'm gonna do is that creating that animation effect, so that will be whenever I'm gonna make it in that. Okay, oops, what's wrong with me? Whenever I'm gonna make it group hover, the translation it should be in 0, and then the duration should be 300. Okay, if I now go here, as you see, okay, that's cool. Okay, Now it's just giving that with the boost. And for the select category, we will come later on. And right now what we are going to do is that to create the other properties. So what we gonna do is that let's just roll back to our main tag here in the main. Now we are going to create our particular scenario, which is going to be create the routing and other setup, because without routing we are going to be get nowhere. And for routing we will use that React router DOM. So first I'm gonna just install that properties, which will be pnpm pnpm I is React router DOM, and simply we're just going to set that up, and then we're gonna build with other parameters. So how we can set that? So everything is running from here. I'm gonna close others. So that's the main tag and that's the app. So these two is the things which is coming for right now. So now from here we are running our app within our main.tsx. So now let's just create our routing. And how we can create the routing? First let's create a layout. So it will be router layout. Okay, so that will be as simply as a function, and from here I'm going to return something. And from here to return on that particular layout, what we can do is to create a simple layout also. So that will be, I will just in the UI I will take another file which will be our layout.tsx rafce. Now in that layout we're gonna inject some of the properties. So it will be, first we're gonna grab that children, we're gonna wrap all the children here, children, which going to be react.react node. Okay, so now here inside and curly braces I'm gonna just define my header. So just okay, first it's going to be header, then I'm gonna pass that my children. Okay, and also as I think I have been created the footer, and I'm gonna inject that footer here also. So footer. So now that's my layout, and later on we're gonna create other properties, so don't worry about that, all will come with a particular fashion. So now here I'm gonna inject my layout. Okay, so now within that layout I'm gonna just put that outlet, and that outlet is a properties which going to coming from that React router DOM. Means in the layout first it gonna go through whatever the properties layout going to be injected, then all the other pages, other components, it gonna just gonna inject it as the children. So that's it, that's so simple within that parameter. So now that's our root layout. So now we need to create the router, and how we gonna create the router? So let's just make that const router. It will be create browser router, and as it will be a function which you're gonna be take an array as a parameter. Within that array you're gonna push that object. The path we're gonna keep it as a home path, and element, first element we're gonna make that with that I think router layout. Yeah, that will be our first part, and we're gonna provide the loader data, but not now, later on we're gonna do that. And in the children, which going to be an array of objects, of course. So first the path, the first path which going to be the home route, and that path is going to be take that element which is right now we are having that our app. Okay, and okay, right now that's it. So we have our router, so we need to inject that router. How we can inject? As you see, this properties here which we are going to be just seeing here, we're gonna remove everything, and I'm gonna make that as a router provider. And here in the router provider, the router, it's just going to get us our router. If we save, as you see, we can see now the double things, the duplicate parameter. Remember in the app we provided those parameters, so let's just remove that parameter, the header and the footer. Okay, done. So now we can see that's our home page. So now first thing first, let's just grab and create a sum of the pages which can be later on be very helpful. So how many pages we gonna create? Okay, So let's just grab those pages. In that source directory, I'm gonna take another file, sorry, not the file, should be a folder, and which giving us to say that pages. So all the pages is going to be aligned here. So just let's make that product.tsx rafce, which going to create that product. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is that let's put ls, let's go to cd src, okay, ls and cd pages. So I'm gonna create some of the pages here. So one of the product and another should be our category.tsx, and then it would be profile.tsx, and after that it should be card.tsx and also favorite.tsx, and then success.tsx, and then cancel.tsx. I think that will, and also one more page is there, should be not found.tsx. okay, touch is not okay. What's the thing I have been wrong? Touch. Okay, let's try again. Okay, I think the problem was I was in the PowerShell. It was the created. So now I'm in the git bash, so it's giving me that, and I created all those things. So in that here I'm gonna just roll back to create all the pages for the card. Okay, and then for the category, for the favorite, and for also that not found page. Okay, product page is created for the profile and for the success. Okay, so now we are having those parameter. I'm gonna just close all, and okay, what's wrong, should be there. I'm gonna just minimize it a bit, and now I will roll back to my main.tsx. Now here I'm gonna define all the parameters. So as you see, that's my home. I'm gonna just copy that several times. Okay, should be app, and now after the app I'm gonna go with that my product, which going to be just roll back directly in that, okay, product, and here it should be product. Okay, and now should be another route which going to be product, and it will inject with id, which going to be get us with the single like the single product parameter. And after that also we're gonna inject that category should be category, and then the similar parameters which are going to be happen category with id. Also it will inject the similar the single categories should be aligned with that category. And after that we're gonna roll back to our profile, and the pages is going to be profile. We're gonna having our card, and also it will take us to our cards. We're gonna get our favorite with the name of favorite, and then we're gonna align with that our orders, which will take us from that order. Did we create that order? No, so let's just create orders tsx. Okay, so should be orders, and then I think 3 more to go, so 2 3. Okay, so one should be for our success. Like once we just successfully the payment is done, it need to give us to one of the screen, so that will be the success. And another should be cancel, and it will be cancel. And now one which going to be in asterisk mark, which is going to find out in everywhere whenever we're gonna get us any not found screen. Okay, like if we just go here and try something, you see it just pump like giving us to the page where not found is just remark. So that's the way we created all this screen. So now let's just go and build some other parameters. So we are already, I think we created our route setup and other properties. So now what we're gonna do is to create our backend part. Before injecting with that properties of the backend, let's just work a bit with the other properties where I'm gonna work with in the layout. I'm gonna inject one parameter here, which going to be I'm gonna grab this React hot toast, by which we are going to show the toaster. So I'm gonna remove that, and here cd dot dot, let's put ls. Okay, where we are, yeah, so it will be pnpmi, which will be React hot toast. And what we are going to do is that we're gonna align that React hot toast toaster here so that we can access that from everywhere. So it will be, I think, toaster. Okay, yeah, toaster. And in the toaster we're gonna just put some of the properties by which it will inject it in nicely, we can access from everywhere. Okay, that toaster is done from here, so now we can use the toaster. And also some of the setup, we can grab the footer also here before going to further level. So let's roll back to the footer, and in the footer I'm just gonna put a class name which will be empty10. Just roll back, okay, just roll back to give us some of the room from the top. And now I'm gonna just put that container here. Okay, what's wrong? Yeah, it should be container. Okay, that container, okay, I'm gonna just grab that p tag here, which going to give us the text for those particular event. Okay, now what I'm gonna do in that container, put a class name, should be flex. And yeah, because we will also define one image here. Okay, image, and the source it gonna be image of that payment image. Okay, payment.img. okay, as you see, that two need to be aligned together. Okay, flex should be in a column, and md should be flex row, and item center gap should be 4, justify need to be between, as you see. Yeah, and also for that image, put a class name, object should be cover. Okay, cool. And now we need to also define one of the footer top parameter by which we can, if you just go roll back here, you will be able to see one of those dynamic builds. So I'm gonna just create the design very fast so you can grab it. So what I'm gonna do is that in that UI it should be footer top.tsx rfce, and footer top it will be aligned. So here I'm gonna make that as footer top. Okay, so if we go over here, you see footer top is aligned. Now what we need to do is that we're gonna create one of the parameters by which we can name it with that. So should be, I'm gonna just go with the Tailwind configuration which we have been chosen. Okay, so there is one array of incentives, the name, the image sources, and then the description. So that's the parameter we can grab and keep it here. So again I'm gonna use it, the container here, container. Okay, so within the container, okay, just hold a second. Yeah, within that container, now I'm gonna take a div, and within that div I'm gonna take another div, then another, and then h2 tag, which going to say we built our business on customer service. And in that layer, okay, for that container, put a class name. Py should be 0 because I'm gonna give a padding from here. Okay, should be around it. Just put okay, 2 XL, I think it will be good. And bj, that one we can put a custom bj which is going to be f6 f6 f6, and px should be 6, padding y going to be 16, sm padding going to be, just give a 16. Okay, so should be n equals horizon. Okay, cool. So now here what we're gonna do is that should be mx auto, and max width should be XL, and LG max width should be none, and that div okay, we can, yeah, text should be center. So in that h2 tag, put a class name, text should be XL, and sm text should be 2XL, and font should be bold. Okay, looks cool. And after that, tracking should be tight, so it will be stick together, text gray of 900. Okay, that's the parameter we have been done. Now we need to grab those things, and how we can do that. So remember, okay, I believe not that this is the positioning which we have been done. Now after that, we need to grab one div which it will be go with that incentives.map. We can make incentive, or we can just put that as item. Okay, and in that item we can just grab a div within that, and key should be item.name. Fine. And after that we can take a div and then another div, and then I'm gonna grab that images which going to be item.image source, and here in that all tag let's just put image, and also grab the class name for it which going to be mx auto, keep in the middle, height should be 16, width should be 16. Okay, let's see, it's already here. And now what we are going to do is that in particular top layer of the div, put a class name, mx should be auto, margin top should be 12. I'm gonna make it as grid. Okay, so max width should be okay, yeah, we can, yeah, max width should be small, and then I'm gonna make it grid cost 1, and gap should be 8, and okay, sm max width none, and also lg grid cost should be 3. Okay, now it's rolling back. So in that particular layer, put a class name, text should be in the center, and then sm should be flex, sm text should be left, and lg should be block, lg text should be center. So now that's our image, and so this image we can possibly make that with the class name should be sm, it will be flex, should be sm flex, it will be shrink 0, and also we can put another property should be flex root to keep aligned with that properties. Now we can take another div, and that div we can put an h2 tag which is going to be item dot name, and then a p tag should be item dot description. Okay, and in that parameter mt should be 3 for the margin top, small margin left should be 6, and lgml should be 0. And for that each 3 tag, put a class name, text, let's just put a base, font put medium, and text would be gray of 900. And to align with the description, put a class name mt2, text should be sm, and text should be gray of 500. Okay, So within that we have been done the footer. So now it looks cool. Remember, we have some parameters: home, shop, cart, orders, so we can go with there. So if we go in the header, remember we keep that things aligned with all together. Okay, so this parameter, now we will be able to use it. So in that logo, we can wrap that logo within that link parameter, which now we can access with from the React Router DOM. So now, and here also too should be wrapping to home. So now we are now in the not found page. If we click, you see we are in the home. Let's go back to not found. And after that also, remember we are creating a p tag here. So instead of that p tag, we will get that link, and the two should be link, and we're gonna pass that link parameter here. Remember we are having that link. And if we just click in the shop, we can see the product, cart, we can see the cart, orders, my account, blog, which is not found. So one more properties before going in a further layer. I believe, no, before going that, also we need to, in the top layer, we need to create those. Is that for the user, we need to do one more things. So if I click on that user, should be, we can go in that profile. So it should be to profile, and also that parameter I'm gonna make that as link to favorite, and okay, it should be okay, and also this one to cart. If I click now, see we are in the favorite, we are in the card, we are in the profile. Let's click in the blog, not found. So let's just injecting that not found parameter so that it will be just be as cool. And for the not found, remember is all are the parameter of to create those scenario, how you can really evaluate that. So I'm gonna go with that my not found, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dump everything here. So simply I'm gonna explain what I am creating here right now. Okay, yeah, link button. Okay, there is a link button we need to create. Okay, and where I use that link button. Okay, let's just not use that link button. Okay, let's see how it's going to be appearing. Okay, not found. Is it coming? Yeah, that's the not found. And yeah, for not found pages accessible, if I just click in the block, okay, start shopping. So that's the button we need to create also, just to give us that properties. So let's roll back to our UI. So now here, I wanna just go in a simple demonstration that what I have been done here. See, we just click links with the product, which giving us to go and access some of the features. When a user having that not found, they can click in the product and they can roll back to the product. Oh, sorry, it's not in here. So if we click here in the product, you see, simply they can roll back to the product. So if we click on that my account, it will take us to the profile. If it's not here, okay, it's account, should be profile. So shop, I'm gonna give it as the name of profile, and blog should be blog. And then what I'm doing, just passing that parameters, giving that location name. As you see the blog, if you click any of the name, blah blah blah, you see the blah 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 name is here. Just passing the path from the path name, which is getting from the use location, and then giving it with the actual path name, giving that path name, passing that message, then just links, I'm just mapping that, putting that references here. So you can do it as the way you preferable, but it's just a simple style and other properties. So now what I'm gonna do in my UI, I'm gonna create one button which is going to be link button.tsx rafce. So in that link button, we're gonna create some more properties here. So instead of div, we're gonna just take that link that's why we created as a link button. It will not be a button parameter, but we can pass the link on it. So now what we are going to take it. So first thing first, we're gonna take two parameter. One should be show button, or I think the show button, yeah. So with that we can be able to see whenever we're gonna show an arrow or not. And then we're gonna take the link, then also you're gonna take that class name, and I'm gonna define that parameters with that interface, which going to be that similar. If show button available should be boolean, link should be string, and class name should be a string. All are with an optional parameter, either one can provide or not. And two should be the link, whichever we are passing. And then what we are going to say is that, okay, what's wrong with that? To string, yeah, should be taking that. Okay, we will see it around. So now what we are going to do, just going to passing some of the class name which we're gonna create on that properties with the TW merge. As you remember, we have been done before. We are just passing that BJ dark of 800, opacity hover, BJ dark, text white text, padding Y, padding X, rounded full, and just similar properties. So here we can pass the class name. So what we can do, class name should be new, or we just grab it as that as a class name. I'm gonna just make it as reload. It should not appearing that error, just to see, maybe just some of the IDE caching. Okay, yeah, it has been gone. Okay, so link is link, and now we can pass one property. If a show button is available, means we need to just from that show button is coming, then and we're gonna give a far arrow left. Okay, and then we're gonna pass that start shopping, and that class name we will provide that new class name. And what's wrong with the link? I believe it's that two. Okay, 2, because by default it can be mismatch. So if link is available, it will be link, otherwise it will just by default going to forecast as products, because maybe the link will not be there, so we need to make a default parameter. So now in the dot found, okay, we can grab it here. Okay, show button is true, and then we are grabbing that link as particular link. So let's just roll back to our home screen. Let's go in the block, and start shopping is taking us in the home screen. So with that we are almost done our home parameter. That's the other properties is going to be coming up later on whenever we're gonna inject this our class name and other properties. These things we'll do it together. So now what we need to do is that to create our backend structure, and to create the backend, remember we are already dealing with two directory here. One is for the front end, one is for the backend. So now our front end we have been done a lot of things, so let's just roll back to with our backend properties. I'm gonna take two more PowerShell here at the bottom. So let's cd in the admin, and also from here we're gonna cd admin. Okay, so now in that here I'm gonna make that pnpm init. You can make also npm init if it's your npm project. As you see, that package is done. So now we can roll and keep starting with that. Okay, now in that scenario, our root project layer, which is going to be index.js. Now here we're gonna make some changes. We are just put a description which is going to be admin data backup for e-commerce app, and here we're gonna make that not JS, we're gonna put it with MJS. Okay, that's a new form. So why we are dealing that? Because we're gonna use that module type here. So it will be type, and that's going to be as module. And also we're gonna also just refactor the engines which going to be that node, and it will be okay. And within that parameter, as you say in this script, we need to go through with that. We need to write an start script which going to be node index.mjs. okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a file here which going to be index.mjs. okay, so now we just simply write a log hello from backend. So what we need to do, node index.mjs. okay, hello from node is here. So now we can also initially make that one that pnpm start. As you see, it's provided that hello from backend. So now we need to make one thing, is that to install, which going to be pnpm I, and then we're gonna create install that nodemon. And why we are dealing that, so that we can use that nodemon to set up so no need to run each and every time the dependency. So we can use that nodemon to initialize each, like we just start our project, then we don't need to just console log each and every time. So it will be, instead of node, it should be nodemon index.mjx. so it will be pnpm start. And as you see now, if I just go back here, just make duplicate some of the properties, you see it's running properly. So now what we need to do, we need to properly inject things up. So as I'm here in my admin, I'm gonna just install some of the properties. So pnpm I, I'm gonna install xpace.js. I'm gonna install .env for my env file, and then I'm gonna install course. okay, for right now, that three, I think it will be just simple. So here, as you see, we are going to use the module. So we can just simply write that xpace, import xpace from xpace, and also so const app should be xpace. okay, so our app is running. Now we can go with that. We can just make that app.get, and here we can just passing with that home/reference, which going to be one request and response going to be coming. And we can just make that app.use, which should be it just puts nothing, just to see how it's working. And also we can make that app.listen. And by the way, I'm just showing from my project perspective, and if you are seeing from where it's coming, you can just go with that xpace.js, and from here you can grab each and every single properties, and then it will just make a good sense to you. So let's just go with the hello world. And okay, first instances, I'm gonna just put that thing, just you can to understand how it's working. So instead of that 3000, I'm gonna put it 8000. So make that pnpm start. So now we will be able to see it's running or not. What's wrong with that? Okay, okay, that's the problem, because we are using the module import express from express. That's it. Okay, let's just terminate and run again. pnpm start. Okay, it's running. An example should be okay, there is an error. Let me just see where it's just giving us that. Okay, recur xpace, which we have been resolved. Okay, event throw error note. I believe in the package we should not define that right now, as we are going to handle that. Yeah, so it should be now the port 8000 should be able to grab our things. So let's open it, remove that, and it should be localhost 8000. Okay, hello world is coming here. So the default parameter is done. So now we can start working on it. So first thing first, let's go in that admin properties, and we're gonna create another folder, which we're gonna make that constants. and here in the constants I'm gonna just grab one index.mjx. okay, so now what's actually having with that index.mjx? This is the properties which is going to be mainly just work on that. We have the categories listed here, then we have our all categories which is coming with id, name, image description and the base parameter. And after that we are going to having the highlights products with the products parameter. Then we're gonna having this our blocks data to create a unique block parameters. Then the main purposes of those things is the products which coming with id, name, images, then the description and that regular prices, discounted prices, quantity, rating, reviews, category, colors, brand, easy stock, overview is new underscore base. So in the link on the description, the first link, you're gonna see that GitHub link by which you're gonna find all those properties. I think both folder it will be available, and you're gonna find that data here. So we're gonna merge and create that dependency by using those products. So let's go in that over here. So first, now what I'm gonna do to create a route here in the admin, so it will be, let's just say what we can say, it will be routes. So in the routes we can define the routes, and also in the public I'm gonna grab another directory which it's going to be public, and in that public I'm gonna just grab two properties which one going to be my icon, another going to be my one of that index.html file. So that's the simple setup of HTML file. I'm not gonna just go with a fancy round because that's the similar setup which we're gonna create sooner. I have a lots of video cover how to create those things here. You can find out in the playlist. So now that's the admin server which I want to show it first, and that's the properties which I'm gonna create. So now in that routes, so in the route we can define our route. So here I'm gonna just grab those route. I'm gonna just explain how it's been created. So as you see in the blog routes, I'm just using the router from Express and then grabbing that blocks data and then just exposing that with the router, and router.get it's the blocks data. On that block parameter it will get the blocks data and categories, checkout, and also okay, I think for the checkout right now we will keep it. We'll just go with the product, we'll just go with the highlights and the categories, and the checkout we're gonna do it later. Now there is one fundamental things is happening in the products. Just be careful with to see that in the products we are getting also router.get /products and with the id. So in that id I'm gonna just making the parameter, extracting the parameter from as id, then passing that product as product.find that product id. So if product id available, like it's not available, I'm just passing the single phone was not found or single item was not found, and if it's available I'm just sending that product. That's for or the single parameter of the product. If id is coming, then passing the id which coming with a single product. It's a simple fundamental things. If there is no id, like simply if you hit that products router, it's giving the product. If you hit that products with the id, it's passing, just checking if id is available, passing the product. If it's not available, just returning it that status 404. The same thing happening with the categories. That's the things. So you can go through it with to having a better understanding. I just create with that just a simple cover up with that. So now how we can wrap up those things within our home route. Okay, so first thing first, I'm gonna grab one what you call that .env file here. So let's just create a env file. Here I'm gonna have two properties. One, it will be port which going to be 8000. Another, it will be stripe secret key, and another it will be other it will be base URL. So that three parameters should be coming here. Right now I'm just gonna keep that port 800 because we're gonna grab the port things in together. So now what we're gonna do is here we're gonna make that okay, we can use that import should be .env, and we're gonna grab this config from here, so directly we can use that one. So now let's just get the port, so it will be const port equal to process.env dot port if the port is available, otherwise it's going to grab us from the 8000. It's just a default parameter. So now we can change the message here, should be server is running on port 8000. Now if you just to check on that, how that things can be really changing, if I just grab it as 3000, you can see the message as it should be. If I just come here, yeah, port is, it cannot be running in 3000 because 3000 our server is running, so we just need to pass it with the 8000 right now. But if you just change it here, if it's 3000 is empty, it will run that with the 3000. Okay, so now we can make a several procedure with that, so which going to be I'm gonna just make that layout here. So app.use, our app's going to be used that course, okay, course compatibility things. So also did we install course here? So let's package, no, not yet. So I'm gonna grab that course here. Oh, did I'm running is 2 parameter, okay, pnpmi course. Okay, should be course, so that should be a functional parameter. And also app.use, we should also use that express.json, so you're gonna get the JSON format data. And now we're gonna just port through with the 2 parameter, should be we're gonna give that a file name, should be, it will be a file, just grab it, file URL path, I think so, URL path, and that one going to be inject that import dot meta dot URL. And of course we need to import that, should be import URL file URL path, I believe, yeah, from URL. Okay, and another property for the directory name should be directory name, and also it's going to come with that path dot dir name. Then now we're gonna pass that file name. So now we have our directory name. Now we can go and coming just passing that with a good fashion. So what I'm gonna do right now is that if we roll back to our localhost 8000, right now is 8000 is running. So okay, is it running? Okay, for that parameter it should be messing around. So let's just npm starts again. What is saying? URL does not provide an export name, file URL. Oh, okay, file URL not, I believe it should be file URL to path, maybe, yeah, should be to path, yeah, file URL to path, yeah, that could be misunderstanding happened. Okay, what's wrong? Just let me see it. Okay, path the directory name. So okay, path is not defined. Of course we need to import that, so it will be import path from path. Okay, now it's running. So again, if we just hit back in the localhost 8000, so now what I'm gonna do now, instead of just declaring every single path for all the pages, I'm gonna map through of my route here, then I'm gonna pass the route, so that anytime I can go with that, I can directly just pass that from there. And initially with that, I'm gonna pass that res dot send file, and that file which is going to be path dot join, I'm gonna join with that and make that directory name should be, and it will just go with that public directory, and then it going to access that index.html. So now if we just hit again, it should get my index.html. So we are getting that categories, products, highlights. If I click on the categories, you see it should go roll back to the categories route. If I click on that highlights, it's getting on that highlights route. So right now we need to connect our routes here. So to connect the route, we will simply just access some of the properties. So let's go back here in the top. Okay, so it would be const routes should be path, and that it should be path.resolve. We will resolve the path parameter, and here okay, directory name it going to coming, and now we can just get the parameter of routes. So if we just make the log, you can see route, and here we will access that routes path. Okay, you see, so now we can get the routes path, the actual path where the routes is underlying. So we have the paths, so now we can access the route, right? So so what we're gonna do is that, okay, from here we can make that a const route files. We can get the files here, and we will use that read directory sync from that fs, from the file system of Node.js. We're gonna access that, and we're gonna give that routes path so we can access the path parameter. Okay, so now if we just make log with that, so it will be route files. We can access the files, as you see, the blog.mjs, categories.mjs, highlights.mjs, products.mjs. so these files now we can access. So what we can do here now, map through it and pass that as a single route. So we can map through that and pass every single file as a route parameter, so that we can easily access those parameters and make our initialize our route setup. So what I'm gonna do, write route files.map, as you see it's coming as an array. That's why we are putting the map here. So route files.map, it should be an asynchronous way, because we're gonna grab this file and we're gonna get it as the file. Okay, then we're gonna return something. So it will be const routes, it just module, and it will await. And then we're gonna import. What we're gonna import is that we're gonna go with the backtick, and we're gonna go in that, see, we can access the routes, right? And from that route we can just access the file name, because that's the extension name we get, and that's the route, that's the extension of that file, and that's the full parameter of routes. So now as we are having that, we can just make that app.use. We can use that. So first it's gonna go in the /home, then it's gonna make a route module dot default. Okay, so now let's go and grab the things up within categories. You see the categories is available. If I go with that 1002, okay, nothing match. 1002, it should match over here. Okay, anyway, I put the products. Let's just check with the products. That's the things we are needing here. So with the ID of 2002, okay, we are having a product. So right now our every single fundamental items is working. So our backend is now kick started. So we can go and access the backend properties in the front-end part, where we can go and grab to create those properties. So okay, okay, so first we can create that, then we can create other properties also, like all other parameters we will start. And to create that one, let's roll back to, I will close everything from here, minimize a bit here just to see side by side. Okay, first we're gonna grab things up. So let's go here and we start. So that's our client here. So in the client I'm gonna create a two utilities function, and let's just create a folder here which going to be our lib, and in the lib I'm gonna put one index.ts file, and here we're gonna create a two separate fundamental function. One is to create our like to get the data. So it should be export const get data, by which we're gonna get the data. And of course, as we are going to access to the server, it should be an asynchronous function. And here we're gonna just giving that endpoint here, and after providing the endpoint, we're gonna grab the data and pass it here. So let's just put a try catch. Okay, so whenever we are having that catch, we will just pass a log here so that we can see that. So error while fetching data, and we are going to pass the error, and we're gonna also throw error if we are passing any of the problem, like we are cannot accessing that data or something others. So now I'm gonna make that response here, response, and it should await. We will use that fetch functionality here, and first we're gonna pass that endpoint, and whenever it's gonna just hit with that method, okay, method should be get. Did we okay, yeah, it should be wrapping within an object. Okay, because I didn't wrap it, you see, now it will give that the properties. So it will be method of get, and then one more property should be headers, and that headers should be content type. It will be application JSON. Okay, so we are passing our method, we are passing our headers. So now what's if the response is coming? If that response is not okay, like if there is some problem with that, the message is not coming as okay, what it's going to do is that throw new error should be data fetching error, and we are going to make that response dot status text, just to see what kind of status is just throwing us, so that we can get the error of that message. So now const data should be coming await response dot JSON, and we'll just return not the response, return the data. So what this function going to do is that we are passing that endpoint simply with that parameter, and then it gonna make response with that. It will await for our backend response, then it gonna fetch that, and from there it will get grab the data. So now we will get one more properties here. We will do one simple specific thing, is that to create a configuration file here by which we can get that which route we are right now. Okay, so that one route, it should be our public route, another it should be our production route. So let's go in the top layer. Either you can go in the top layer, you can go create in the source folder, but as is the config file, I'm gonna just give it in the top layer, config.ts. So here I'm gonna just make that const check config, so it will check the configuration. So first it gonna take we're gonna take the server, which is going to be as a string, and then it will also, I'm going to define a type for my server here, which is going to be interface config, and here base URL should be string. So now that could be passing parameter as config or as an empty object. Okay, so now I'm gonna just make that let a config is equal to okay, it should be config or object, and should be equal to an object. So now we can make that switch case. So we can switch to first case in the server, which will be an parameter on that. So now is the case is coming with that production, so means we are heading that production route. Then we're gonna pass that config. The config URL should be, so right now base URL, right now we're gonna keep it as empty. Okay, and after that parameter we're gonna pass that break. Okay, and now whenever the case going to be local, then we're gonna pass a route here. So that config which going to be as the base URL, it should be our URL which we are providing right now, should be localhost 8000. Okay, that should be our base URL. If the URL is not provided, I'm gonna just keep that as simple. Okay, so now it should be break. Oops, it should be break, and default we can make that default. I just default right now. I'm just not gonna keep anything. Okay, so what is mentioning here, we can now define with that configuration, like when the production is, which config it gonna grab. So if it's the server and if the case is production, it will take that right now empty, but when our project is uploaded, we're gonna put that base URL here. If it's now in local, we're gonna just keep in the localhost 8000. And now let's put that export const select server, which going to be right now I'm just gonna pass as local, and export const config equal to check config, which I'm gonna pass that select server, and it should be the parameter as config. So now from here what it's going to do is that okay, what's wrong with that? A function whose declare type neither is undefined. Okay, that possibly be happening because we didn't return anything. So we need to return our configuration, the config we generated here. So now with that server or the local, we can get from the config, we can get our server here. So let's roll back to our index here where we're gonna make that things done. So in that not index, should be we roll back to our header where we are going to grab those things. So now let's just come over here, and also I'm gonna make our inspector here, as we are going to just to go and define some parameters here. So first thing first, let's just grab those things here. So after here we're gonna make that a const should be categories. It should be categories, or what else? I believe it should be, yeah, we are showing the categories here, so it should be categories here. Okay, categories, set categories, use state by default should be empty. So now we are going to get the data, so it will be okay, use effects. So now we're gonna just roll it here. Whenever data is changing, that should be a dependency. So now okay, so not with that data. Oops, I just misspelled with any other parameters. Okay, so now what we are going to grab it here, just const fetch data should be a sync function should be running here. And now const endpoint should be, let's just grab from there config. Okay, that config is not coming up, so let's just go here on the top. We need to define it normally. So import config, and that should be coming from, okay, config. I think, yeah, that should be the config. Why this configuration is not okay? That's exporting here, that should work, but why is not giving that configuration? Again, let's just roll back, import config. why is giving that? Okay, this Tailwind configuration from, okay, config. I think that will work. So let's just see. So it will go with that config parameter, and after that config, let's just, yeah, it's just coming, it's just passing with that parameters, and then it will just hit back categories. So if we roll back to our server here in the categories, you see that should be that parameter. So if we go here, that should be our categories. Okay, now we will make that try catch so that we can get that parameter. So whenever we are having that catching with that, either way it will define with that parameter also. You can just put that also. So it will be console.error, which going to say as error fetching data, and now we're gonna passing our error. So in the try functionality, we can make that const data should be await get data, and now we can pass that in point. Now if we just make a log here, just passing that data as data. Okay, so now we need to define the fetch data here. We're gonna just make a call with that fetch data. If we hit save, we should be able to see our data. So 12 categories is coming here. The similar categories TV audio, as you can see here, TV audio particularly here. So now our data is started to coming. So what we can do here, instead of that log, we can just simply make the things to set in our, so set categories should be that data. Okay, so as we are having the data, we can now create that our menu which we started before but didn't finish yet. So that's the select category parameter here. So we can now make the things start functioning here. So how we can do that? So after the container, so let's just grab those things. I'm gonna pass one menu. We're going to use that headless UI, so that's the parameters going to passing from there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab the properties which I'm gonna use from them. So it will be okay, okay, let's go in the root layer. So we are going to grab those okay, I think I grabbed those wrong things. Okay, so it will get the menu item, menu okay, menu button, menu item, menu items, and transition. Okay, what's wrong with that? Did we install that headless UI? Okay, let's just go with that package. Okay, that's the fountain backend package. So let's go in our fountain package. Okay, let's just to see, no, we didn't install yet, that's why the problem. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna install that, should be in our fountain perspective, pnpmi, and remember where, like which directory you are heading and where you are underlying here, otherwise it will start giving so much more error. So if you just roll back here, you can search here headless UI React, and you can go back here. There's a very simple utility library using that same Tailwind CSS, as you see. That's very good things here. We are going to use that parameter, the same thing which is created here. Okay, I believe it's installed. Okay, so right now we can just make things to start shuffling. So what I'm gonna do here, okay, I'm gonna cut that, I'm gonna remove that, should be menu. So within the menu, okay, should be menu, and here menu button should be available, and within the button, what's wrong with that menu? So this is my menu here, then I'm gonna passing that menu button, and I'm gonna give my properties, as you see. So now as it's just coming with that much way, put a class name here, not in the menu, it should be wrapping through that menu button. Put some class name, okay, and should be inline flex, item center gap should be 2, and then rounded should be MD, and also border gray of 400, and then hover border should be white. Okay, looks cool. And after that we can also make some things dealing with that. Padding Y should be 1.5, and also we're gonna make that padding X should be 3, and font should be semi bold. Oops, it will be semi bold. Okay, looks cool. And then text should be gray of 300, not amber, should be gray of 300, and hover text going to be, you can put the white text or you can just go with the white. Okay, yeah. So now did our border okay, that's the properties. Should be, we should keep a border here. Okay, we keep hover border. Okay, border of gray, but we need to make that as border. Okay, now looks fine. And also we can do one thing here, put a class name, text, a small text, or we can make base text, and empty should be 1. Okay, looks cool. If we click, now nothing going to be happen, but we will let it happen. So now that's the menu button here, and after menu button we should be able to create that our transition. So within that transition we will create the other properties. So in that transition it should be menu items, and on that menu items, okay, should be menu items. What's wrong with that? Okay, so that will be the within the menu items, and within menu items we're gonna just make that categories. We can just map to that categories, so it will be categories.map, and here we can pass that item. So now we will return something which going to be also menu item. So in that menu item we're gonna pass, like we can get the key and other properties. But before that, going any further, I'm gonna create one type file which will be type.ts, where I'm gonna define all my type property. So now I'm gonna grab all my types here, which going to be interfaced later on. So now what kind of types I'm going to get? So for that highlights, I'm getting their ID, base title, and category props. That's the one I'm gonna use, ID, image name, and base URL. And then that will be our product props, and that will be our blog props, and that will be the user types, and that will be the order types. So all things I'm gonna explain a bit by bit later on once you're gonna import. But right now in our category we have one ID, we have image name, base, and description. So that's the one I'm gonna create right now. So in the item, what we can say is that it should be category props. And of course we need to import that category props in the top layer, otherwise it will start giving us error. So let's just roll here and let's create that. Import category props should be from we can just roll back to type. Okay, so there from here we can grab our category properties. So now we can access those things and make that beautiful design layout by which we're gonna show that. So if we make that key parameter should be item dot. So if it's everything working, you see the base, description, image we can see. So that will be our title, and here we can pass a link property. So that link, remember the link from that next link. So now first I'm gonna keep one image tag properties here. Okay, should be img. Okay, should be item dot image, and that will be category image, and also put a class name which going to be width going to be 6, height going to be 6, and rounded should be MD, rounded MD. So that will be our image. If I just click here, you see this coming, but it's not in a good fashion because we need to style a bit, otherwise it will just start popping like that. So what we're gonna do here, in the transition I'm gonna give some of the properties, but don't worry, we're gonna go in bit by bit. So we're gonna pass that 2 for it, so it will just roll back to us with that category, and then it gonna pass us with that item dot base. So with that we can roll back to our particular category layer. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna make the things start happening in a proper way. So we will just go and grab some of the properties for the transitioning to be working, and that it will be enter transition is out duration 75, and enter from opacity to 0 to scale 95, and when is enter opacity should be 100, scale should be 100, and whenever leave it just a transitioning a point how it going to come up. If you see, it will just give us easy in out. So before going to deal with the design, I'm gonna just also give my item dot name, so it will be item dot name, just to see if it's coming aligned together. You see? Okay, cool. So now let's go in that menu items. In that menu items I need to make that anchor, which going to be bottom end. Okay, as you see, it's now entering at the bottom. Okay, so now here let's just give some class name, which going to be giving us that width should be 52 and origin should be top right. Okay, and then rounded should be axle. I'm gonna give a border should be white, opacity of 5, and BJ should be black. Okay, and then padding should be 1, and text should be small by 6, text should be gray of 300, and we're gonna pass that the anchor which we use that. So anchor should be, I'm gonna give a gap on that, and that gap going to be coming out with a spacing parameter, should be spacing okay, spacing of 1. Okay, and after that focus should be outline, none, and then hover text should be white, and Z index should be 50. Okay, now if I click here, as you see, yeah, that looks cool. It's similarly on that, but there is minor setup is missing, which we are going to deal with now. So let's come in the link parameter here. That's now where we need to focus right now. Put a class name, should be just make that flex, which should be full. Item center gap should be 2, rounded should be LG, padding Y should be 2, padding X I'm gonna provide as 3, and then data, whenever we focus on that data, yeah, we can just yeah, whenever we focus on data, we want to provide a background which going to be BG white of 20% opacity, tracking should be white, and that one is that, you see that background is coming. If I just make of white of like that 80%, you can see. So that's the parameters we are providing. Now if we click on the TV box, you see category with the power tools, it's just moving. So I think that's the things which can, if you click on outline of that, it's just disappearing. So with that, we finish on that parameter. So now let's close all and let's go to that our app parameter. Now what we're gonna do is to create the other properties which can make that things running properly. So that is our categories here. So now we need to create one properties here which is going to be the banner categories. But before, yeah, we can create that right now. So let's go back to our banner categories. We need to create that. So let's roll back to our UI. We will create a file, name is BannerCategories.tsx. RAFCE should be our banner categories in the app. I'm just gonna go and grab that. Okay, so let's just remove that banner categories. Okay, now as you can see, banner categories is running. And to go with that banner categories, I need one we're gonna use that React multi carousel. So let's just go back their documentation, that how we can start with that. Okay, so that's the things we can just go and start with. So let's just go with those properties. Okay, arrow functionalities and others. So now I need to get that to install. Okay, so just restore back my project here. I'm gonna make that pnpm and install that carousel. And after installing, we need to import these two parameters here. One is for the styles and another for to running those things up. So let's just keeping those things. So one for the carousel and one is for the React multi-carousel live styles.css. Now you can also put it in the layout. It depends on you how we want to keep that things. So now what you need to do, we can, for the breakpoints, we need to import the breakpoints, then we need to grab the images. So remember, we are having that categories, the similar categories function where we used in the header. So you can pass that properties also by referring on that, but for right now, to keep it is just in a simple fashionable way, I'm gonna just grab those things from here, just copy that and here paste it. So it should be, I need to import my config here, I need to import my state here, and also I need to import my effect here. After that, don't forget about that get data. So now I'm having my categories here. So what we need to do, I will just grab that responsive breakpoints here, which I'm gonna define it here. Okay, that's are the breakpoints which I'm going to use. So right now what I'm gonna do is that, so that would be in the div. So let's just go, instead of the div, I'm gonna directly inject that carousel. Okay, okay, the carousel, yes. So that would be give us our headshot properties, so how we can go and see that. So now let's just put that responsiveness, it should be go with that responsiveness which we created at the top, and we will make that infinite, should be okay, we can just wrap those things up. It's just a simple properties here. So what we are doing is that we are passing that carousel properties as the simple things which you can just go in the documentation, passing that responsiveness, then getting those speedy things up to run this application. That's it, nothing fancy. So now if we go back here, okay, undefined length, okay, we understand. So we need to provide that length, so we can make that categories dot map. So we can get with the item which will get with that category props, and then we can just return on that link parameter. We need to import the link from React Router DOM, and then we will grab things of that called image, which going to be item dot image and should be category image, and then it should wrapping that too as with the backtick, go with that category, and after that should be item dot base. Okay, that looks okay. Now also need to pass the key, should be key item dot id. Okay, what's the parameter we are missing around here? I think everything is cool. Yeah, as you see, that's now start popping, but not so good. So we need to make some styling, and those variation is coming actually from the caching of we created here. So don't worry about it. Oh no, so it's the default variation. So we need to create from here like that. Okay, we'll create it. So now that's the image, and also the image will go with some of the class name and other properties, otherwise it will not look so fancy. So let's just go in that image, put a class name should be flex, item center, gap in x should be 2, and padding should be 1. Let's just make that border. Oh, oops, it should not be here, it should be in that our link properties. Okay, should be border, and also okay, first make that image a bit smaller, put a class name, and that width should be 10, and height should be 10, and then font okay, should be rounded, should be full, and object should be cover. Okay, image is coming in proper way, and then we also need to make here as a border, should be border of gray of 100, and margin right should be 1, and flex we're gonna give flex 1, around it should be MD, and then hover border should be sky text, and then hover shadow should be LG. Okay, giving a shadow off here, you see. Now we need to provide another properties which going to be coming as a p tag, or you can just directly passing that item dot name. But the problem is if we directly pass, we cannot inject the style on it. Yes, we need to provide the global layer, but it's better to just create that and grab it from here, put the class name, text should be SM, font should be semi-bold. Okay, that's working fine. Now we need to design with the two parameters. So what I'm gonna do is that in that UI I need to make two arrow which are going to be custom right arrow dot tsx rafce should be that right arrow, and another one should be custom left arrow dot tsx. So now in that right arrow we can define the properties here. So right now what I'm gonna do, just grab those things clearly here, and I'm gonna explain what we did. It's gonna inject the function as on click, I'm getting it as any, and then returning that on click whatever the click event is provided from that the carousel we use, from the carousel of that React multi carousel. And then we are just passing the class name and area label, and we are getting one arrow right text. That's simple, nothing this is nothing that much. And also for that arrow right, it will be the simple sorry, it should be arrow left. From this arrow left also simple parameter, just positioning with the left should be 0, and as you see should be somewhere left 0 to 5. Yeah, we are just keeping that positioning as in a way. Okay, so the left should be in the left side, which left 0, right should be in the right side, which should be in 0. So now how we can inject it here? To inject that one, we can just go over here, we can make that custom right arrow, should be custom right arrow, and then it gonna make that custom right arrow. Why okay, suggestion is coming here, custom left arrow should be also left arrow. Okay, so if it's working in a good manner, we should be able to see that arrow properties. Okay, now see, cool. Okay, also you can go here and if you click on headphone, it's getting us to our categories properties. So now that things is working properly, and I believe it is pretty good in a functional way. Okay, so now what we can do, we can roll back to our app. We can just close others. Oh, sorry, we can just open the app again. Now here, what if we just make it small? You see, it's also functioning. You can just make it style a bit way so it can be looks more functional. Okay, so now we need to create our home banner. So in the UI, create another file which going to be create that as homebanner.tsx. So that home banner, it should be an static generated home banner. We will just keep it simple as it possible. Should be home banner, and we need to import that one from UI home banner. So as you see, home banner is appearing here. So in the home banner, we will keep everything within that container. Okay, now what we are going to inject here, so in the home banner, we will create a div here. So within that div, I'm gonna take an image properties. So in that image, it will take the image of home banner, which we are having that, and it will be just named as home banner, and we're gonna make that properties in a proper way. So put a class name which should be full, and height should be full, and object should be cover, and rounded should be empty. As you see, that's the image we are having right now. Okay, why it's just shadowing? Yeah, so that's the properties. Also it will align with that. Okay, looks good. So now let's go in the container, put a class name should be relative, and py as right now is 10. I'm gonna make it as 5, and then again, so I'm gonna make it overflow should be hidden, nothing go out beyond on that. So let's just go and we're gonna make it as right now. Okay, we're gonna make it as, put a class name relative, and I'm gonna make it as, or just to keep it simple way, as you're gonna see, I'm gonna just going to give a shadow effect here. So we're gonna make that as a self-closing div here. Put a class name which should be full, height should be full. I'm gonna make it as absolute. From the top should be 0, left should be 0, bj should be black. As you see, totally black. I'm gonna give a 10% opacity. Now we are having that little shadow effect. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna take another div, and here I'm gonna take an h2 tag which going to say as mi air purifier. Okay, and after that, I'm gonna take another p tag which going to say the new tech gift you are wishing for right here. And also after that, I'm gonna get a link button. Remember, we created a link button which we can pass an arrow, otherwise we can just go with the properties here, and also we can provide the class name and other things. So we can put a class name which is going to be width 44, and flex item center, justify center, bj should be white text or white, text should be dark text, and hover. Or what we can do is here right now, I'm gonna just remove all the properties. Let's see how okay, let's see how it's functioning. Okay, there should be the closing div which I'm missing. Okay, as you see, that's the way it's functioning right now. So just to eliminate from there, we just need to pass some of the class name here. That's the one I'm doing. Okay, so now as you see, that's the functioning parameters is happening. So white, and then the other parameters. So right now it's here, we need to create it in the absolute position. So let's grab it, class name absolute, and inset should be 0. Okay, flex, and should be flex in column, and then justify center, and padding X should be 10. Okay, cool, it's here. Now for that h2 tag, we're gonna just make it style on a way. For that h2 tag, put a class name. Text should be Excel, and whenever is MD, text should be 4 Excel, and also LG, text should be 6 Excel, and after that text should be white text. Okay, similar, but we need to make some font weight, should be bold. Okay, that looks fine. And for the p tag also, we're gonna grab some class name. Should be text should be base, and MD text should be LG, large text, and font should be semi bold, and leading should be 6, and also text should be white text, and I'm gonna give you opacity of 90, and max width should be 250 pixel, and margin top should be 4. Okay, within that we are now dealing with that, and we finish those parameters. Let's just remember that is actually sticky, but our application is not giving that sticky parameter. So let's go to the header. We will make it sticky, so it will be sticky. Only MD should be sticky. Top MD should be MD should be top 0, Z should be 50. Okay, so that it will roll over on that in a smaller screen. So now we are our category, like our header, the banner option is working fine. So after that we need to create those new deals parameter, and which we're gonna just inject in a good way. So let's just roll back here. So let's go and create that highlights UI. So it will be highlights.tsx, and we're gonna import it in app.js as well. So it will be highlights. Okay, so that's the thing, it's going to be appearing here. If you see in the smaller screen, it's gonna be in a 1, but in the medium and other upper level, it's going to be as a single. So now that's our highlights. So now let's going to be incorporate with that. So here the similar fashion, it's going to be as container. So need to import the container, and I believe as is the okay. So now here we need to get our highlights data. So first let's roll back to our admin. If you click on that highlights, you can see that highlights data with the background color, base, and the other properties. So let's just go and create one state. So it will be highlights data set highlights data, and we're gonna provide that user state as an empty array. Okay, so now we're gonna grab our data. So use effect as well as, and then we're gonna pass the similar fashion, remember, which the way we used to do it. So you can just grab those functionality of that categories. You can just need to change that router parameter. That's it, nothing else. So we need to import that get data, and also need to get that config. Okay, so what we are passing here in the endpoint is going to grab that highlights, and whenever it's getting the data, it's gonna pass that in that set highlights data. So now we have that highlights data available. We can just map to it. So it should be highlights data dot map, and should be item, and that item should be highlights. Okay, it should not be that highlights type, and we need to return. And what we're gonna return, we are just going to return a div from here. Okay, So in the div, let's just put that key should be item.id. okay, and then we're gonna put a class name which going to be relative, and height going to be 60, and also rounded should be LG, shadow should be MD, and also cursor should be pointer, overflow should be hidden. I'm gonna make it as group. Okay, so now right now you can see there is nothing available that much. So in the container I'm gonna make it as grid, and I'm gonna make it as grid calls of 1 by default. MD should be grid calls of 2, and whenever it's LG screen, grid calls should be 3. And also I'm gonna give a gap between of 8. Okay, looks cool. And now we are going to go through in some of the other properties. I'm gonna go and create a div here. Okay, now within the div I will not keep anything, or I can just go and create a self-closing div, as it will be just a simple div. So put a class name, and here I'm gonna go and grab through to keep the positioning here. So it should be absolute, inset should be 0, bj should be okay, we can give a background. Yeah, background should be cover, and background should be center, and then rounded should be LG. Transition should be translate. Okay, transition transform duration should be 300, and group hover scale should be 110. So now what we are trying to create is that these effects, once you're hovering, you see that image is just getting in the top layer. So that's the one we are going to create. So now here we're gonna put that style over here. So on the style we're gonna maintain of that background image. Okay, G image, and that image should be, we need to pass an URL. So the URL should be coming from there. Okay, should be item.image. Okay, we can't see anything. No, nothing yet. Okay, as it's not having any background effect. And also we can pass that color. Color should be item.color. Okay, still till now nothing, because we need to put the items in between. So now that's the self-closing div finish here. So now I'm gonna grab another div, within that another div, and then I'm gonna get an h3 tag, and here I'm gonna get that item.name. As you see, item.name is rectified, and then I'm gonna take a p tag, should be item.title. Okay, now let me grab those things. Somewhere we are messing with the class name, maybe because it's not giving the exact properties. Okay, yeah, height should not be 6, should be 60. Yeah, that's the properties is injecting. Okay, now we're getting the height, but we are not getting the background images. So now this is the self-closing div, I believe. Okay, let's just make it as a normal div. Okay, so we made that what's wrong with, okay, we made it as a normal div. And now what's we created here, it's just hopping through it. So height 60, rounded LG, we give a shadow and make it hidden. Now absolute, inset 0, we just put a bj cover, background center. Okay, I think that could be these properties which we use. It should not align like that, it should be aligned with a first brackets. Yeah, that was the only problem. Now you can see that is working smoothly and properly. So now over here my text is disappear. So put a class name, we're gonna make it relative, and the z should be 10, so that we can see, as you see, it's visible. And we're gonna make it a padding should be 6, we're gonna make it flex should be column, justify between, height should be full height going to be taken. Okay, right now is good. So in that div also it's nothing going to be happening. So now here I'm gonna just grab one link parameter, and here should be two should be item dot. Let's just make that button title. Okay, should be button title. And if you may want to know what button title is, you see that button title, browse deals, shop cell phone and other properties. Okay, that's my batch. Item should be underscore base. The title should be item dot button title dot button title. Okay, need to import that one from React Router DOM, otherwise it will start crying. Okay, so now we are having those properties, button and other things, but it should be look like that. Okay, to implement that one, let's go and create the design. Class name text should be 2XL, font should be bold, and max width should be 44. Okay, cool. And for the prices, let's just put a class name, text should be base, font should be bold, empty should be 4. Good. And for that div parameter, the link parameter, puts a class name which is going to be text going to be base, font should be normal, not should be normal. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now there is one thing should be appearing. That's we need to put a condition here. And how we can inject that item.color, yeah, it's here. It should be appearing here, but just we're gonna check it here what color we are provided. Yeah, that's the color for new deals for 40. Okay, from 40. Yeah, power bank. So power bank should be white. Let's go here. Let's just go in the power bank is white. That is already white, but why is not showing? Okay. Power bank from 40. Let's just go with that power bank. Yeah, that's the color. What's wrong with that? Let's just go in the constant here in that admin so that we can figure out. So that is our highest product. So red FF should be cell phone and product sub cell phone. Okay, what's wrong with that? I think I didn't put this style yet. Yeah, that should be within that div, remember. So we need to put that item color. Yeah, that only then it can take that particular color. By default it's getting the black. So let's just put that style where we can make that as a color, which going to be item dot color. Okay, what's wrong with that? Oh, sorry. I just I am actually in a wrong place where I'm creating that. So it should not be happen from here, should be happening from here. So that's the div where all the text is underlying. So it should be scoop around from here. So now, yeah, now you can see that's perfect. If you go in the shop, we can see the product and is look fine. So this is done. Now we can go with that, coming up with that product categories and other parameter which we can create. So right now as we are here, so I believe it should, we can just go with the popular categories and the products and other things. So we'll go one by one. And right now we can do one more thing, is that just to go with that particular index.html file for here. So that would be here, and we can rewrite our properties. So it should be e-commerce solutions. As you see, the title is just changed from here, and also we can provide our href for the image, which is going to be fabiicon.ico. Did we have that in public for public directory? No, it's nothing here. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna grab that properties from my previous project. Okay, and I'm gonna keep it here. Okay, so it should be fabicon.ico. So now if I go and see, okay, it should be giving us that properties. Okay, just give it a bit of time, it will just start showing later on. So now we created those portions, so let's just go and create the category portions, as we are having that categories already, so we can just make the things to be done. So let's go here and click one more file, which is going to be categories.tsx, and we're gonna wrap that categories in our app. And after the highlights, it should be categories. Okay, so now in the categories we can go with several label, but right now what we're gonna do is to inject as within the container. So now within the container, remember we are passing that categories in the header, so we can just grab those categories from there. So I'm gonna copy that and pass those categories. So let's just import all the properties, that is state, okay, and the config, also that get data required. So now we will also inject here, we're gonna get a div property here, and within the div we can just create one title. So it should be as you say, let's just I'm gonna just create one more file here where I'm gonna passing the title. So it should be UI, and then I'm gonna get the title.tsx rafce. So in the title I'm gonna just generate that, what I'm gonna grab it here. So in the title what I'm passing is that getting the TW marge, and I'm getting the text and class name. Class name is optional, so I'm just wrapping that with the text for Excel and font bold, and if I'm passing class name it will just go back with the class name with that properties. So that's the simple procedure. So right now what I can do is here on the div I can take another div, and now I can pass my title. So in that title I can provide the parameters, which going to be like text, popular categories. So you see the popular categories is appeared, and after that p tag, after the title tag, we should also get a link parameter tag by which we can generate like to view all the link parameters. So it should be 2, and here I'm gonna pass that category, and then I'm gonna just put at audio, just a simple category here. Okay, so now it will give us that view all categories. So you see that text is available, and for this one I'm gonna grab some class name on that. Oops, it will be class name. Okay, so it should be, font should be medium, and then I'm gonna make it as relative, I'm gonna make it as group, and overflow should be hidden. And also in that div class name should be flex, item center, justify between. So it should be pushing that, no, it should, that one should be here. Okay, and that class name, okay, right now I'm gonna keep it empty. So now, okay, so when I'm gonna hovering, you see there is some style is happening. So that's the things I'm gonna create. So as you see, it's just I'm gonna keeping it as relative. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab one span tag. Remember the way we created for the header, this portion here, that's the similar effect which I'm gonna create it right now for this portion also. So I'm gonna grab things here, and as you may see, okay, that's cool. So now our link portion is done, and after that div we can take another self-closing div which going to give us like class name with giving with going to be giving us full height, going to be 1 pixel, and bj should be gray of 100, 200, good, empty 3. That's the line which we have been created right now. Okay, so now we can wrap through our categories for that categories properties. So after that div, I'm gonna grab that categories here, categories dot map, which going to be item, and that is category props. And right now I'm going to return a link parameter, not a div, just a link directly here, by which I can inject the routes parameter, and then I will just make that to formula which going to be coming from that backtick, and then I'm gonna pass that item dot base, and that key I'm gonna provide that item dot id, which is having here. And now I'm gonna provide that image properties, should be item dot image, and that should be category image. And for the class name, which should be full height, I'm gonna provide the auto height, rounded should be md. And then I'm gonna make that whenever I'm gonna hover on the group, it's going to be a scale of 110, and duration should be 300. So you will see that properties is available, but it's not look so good because it's gonna crampy. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wrap that entire properties within a div, then I'm gonna pass it here. So now put a class name, I'm gonna make it as grid call should be 1, or by default I'm gonna keep it 3 md, grid call should be 4, and lg grid call should be 6, and I'm gonna give a gap between of 7. Okay, that's cool. What we are missing, the name parameter. So now in the link I'm gonna provide some class name, should be that class name, and then width should be full, height should be auto. I'm gonna make it relative, I'm gonna make it as a group, and I'm gonna make it overflow hidden, so that if I hover, as you see, it's giving that pump up. So after that image, let's just make a div here, and within div take a p tag. Okay, that p tag going to cover that item dot name. Okay, that's the name properties. So here class name should be absolute, and bottom should be as well as 3, and then which should be full, and text should be center align. Okay, cool. And then we're gonna go with a p tag, put a class name, text should be sm, md text should be base, and font should be bold. And we can do one more properties here. In the top align here, put a class name, mb should be 10. Okay, so now you can see our categories portion is done. So we need to create our products and then the search bar, so we can do it also align. So hoping that can really helping you to understand how actually this things is functioning. So that will be the first part for this project. We will create another, that will be like 3 or 4 part on that. Each and every single part we're gonna copying up what we can do and how we can implement that. So in this part we will finish on here. So that's the things we created, all the pages, and we configure all those things. So in our next video we're gonna create all our products pages, and then we're gonna ramp these things up. So I think that can help you to understand in a better way how to use that e-commerce website in a various functional way. So we will create all other functionalities later on, one by one. So hope you will cop up with me. So we'll see you in next video with that like this next part on it.